In 1978, a 21-year-old Lou Ferrigno walked nervously onto the set of The Incredible Hulk. He was a young bodybuilder, the youngest Mr. Universe in history, but had no acting experience. He was also deaf, which made it even harder for him to follow directions or catch what others were saying on set. Everything around him, the lights, cameras, and long hours, felt new and overwhelming. That's when Bill Bixby, the man playing Dr. David Banner, stepped in. Instead of treating Ferrigno like a rookie, Bixby took him under his wing. He didn't just teach him lines or movements, he taught him how to feel the emotions of the character. Bixby understood that the Hulk wasn't just a monster. He was a man full of pain and anger. He showed Ferrigno how to express that without words. When the cameras stopped rolling, Bixby stayed behind to help him practice. He made sure Lou's hearing aids were protected from the heavy green makeup, and he even shielded him when production days got too long or exhausting. What started as a professional relationship soon became something much deeper, a bond between two men who understood struggle and strength, in their own ways. To understand why Bill Bixby was such a caring and patient mentor, you have to know his past. Born in 1934, Bixby grew up in San Francisco during the Great Depression. His family didn't have much money, and when his father joined the Navy during World War II, Bill and his mother were left to survive on very little. At just 13, Bill made headlines for a wild act. During a church choir service, he used a slingshot to hit the bishop. It wasn't just a prank. It showed his rebellious side. That event got him banned from the choir, which hurt his family deeply since they depended on the little money he earned from singing. But that moment also showed something that would define Bixby's whole life. He wasn't afraid to go against authority if he thought something was unfair. He learned early how to stand up for himself. After high school, he joined the Marine Corps Reserve instead of waiting to be drafted into the Korean War. That brave choice allowed him to stay close to home and dream about something bigger, acting. His early life taught him discipline, toughness, and independence, qualities he would later pass on to Lou Ferrigno and others he worked with. Before Bill Bixby became a famous actor, he worked any job he could find just to survive. He cleaned hotel pools, worked as a lifeguard, and even ate leftover food because he couldn't afford proper meals. At one point, he earned only $40 a week and lived in a small room near the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, but destiny found him there. While working at the pool one day, a group of ad executives noticed his charisma and offered him a modeling job that paid more than 3 times what he was making. That was his first big break. Soon, he was cast in a local stage play called The Boyfriend in Detroit. Even though the pay was tiny, only $25 a week, Bixby saw it as a chance to chase his dream. He barely had enough money for food and lost 18 pounds during the production, but his talent stood out. When he returned to Los Angeles, talent scouts signed him, and within 2 years, he landed his first television role on The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis. Then, in 1963, he got the role that made him a household name, Tim O'Hara in My Favorite Martian. The show became one of the top hits on TV, turning Bixby into a star. But with fame came new challenges. He worried about being stuck in light comedy roles when his heart longed for deeper, more emotional characters. Bill Bixby's drive to be more than a funny TV guy pushed him into powerful roles in the 1970s. He starred in The Courtship of Eddie's Father, playing a single dad raising his son. The show was touching and heartfelt, and his chemistry with the young actor Brandon Cruz felt so real that many viewers believed they were truly father and son. Off-screen, Bixby treated Cruz like family, guiding him through tough moments and teaching him about life, not just acting. Later, Bixby starred in Rich Man, Poor Man, a drama that showed his darker, more serious side, and earned him another Emmy nomination. He even played a magician in the show The Magician, where every trick performed on screen was real. No camera tricks, no editing. Bixby learned sleight of hand and escape acts himself, showing how seriously he took his craft. By this time, Bixby was also directing. He was known as a perfectionist who expected a lot from his crew, but always treated them with kindness. When he finally joined the Incredible Hulk project in 1977, he wanted it to be different from any superhero show that had come before. He insisted that it shouldn't be campy or silly like Batman. Instead, he wanted it to be human, about pain, emotion, and the struggle within. When the Incredible Hulk pilot aired in 1977, audiences were shocked. Instead of bright costumes and jokes, it felt more like a heartbreaking drama. Bixby played Dr. David Banner as a man haunted by guilt and loneliness. The haunting piano theme at the end of each episode perfectly matched the sadness in his eyes. The show quickly became a hit, running from 1978 to 1982. But behind the scenes, it was incredibly demanding. Lou Ferrigno's daily routine was exhausting, sitting for 4 hours in makeup, then acting under hot lights for 12 to 14 hours while covered in green paint. The makeup burned his skin and ruined clothes. Sometimes the crew worked 7 days straight. Still, both Ferrigno and Bixby showed up every day. Bixby was more than just a co-star. He became Ferrigno's teacher, friend, and even protector. He helped him with his body language, taught him how to show anger or sorrow through silence, and always made sure his hearing aids stayed safe. Ferrigno would later say that Bixby treated him like a son. Their bond went far beyond acting. It became one of the most touching friendships in TV history. While Bixby appeared calm and strong on screen, his personal life was full of heartbreak. In 1981, while on a ski trip with his 6-year-old son Christopher, tragedy struck. The boy developed a sudden throat infection and was rushed to the hospital, but due to a doctor's delay, Christopher stopped breathing and died. It was the most devastating moment of Bixby's life. Just 1 year later, his ex-wife Brenda Benet, unable to cope with the loss of their son, took her own life. Within 13 months, Bixby lost both his child and his former wife. Yet he never stopped working. He threw himself into directing as a way to cope with his grief. Those who worked with him said he was always professional, kind, and never let his pain show. He focused on helping others, perhaps because it helped him heal. His bond with Lou Ferrigno grew even stronger during this time. Ferrigno often said that Bixby gave him more than acting lessons. He gave him life lessons about courage and compassion. Even while directing through his pain, Bixby made sure everyone around him felt valued and respected. His strength and quiet dignity inspired everyone who met him. In the late 1980s, Bixby returned to his most famous role for several TV movies, including The Incredible Hulk Returns and The Death of the Incredible Hulk. Even as his health began to fail, he poured everything he had into his work. In 1991, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer, but instead of stepping away, he continued directing episodes of the hit show Blossom. He was often in pain, yet he showed up every day, determined to finish his work. Cast members later said they didn't even realize how sick he was because he refused to complain. Bixby worked until just days before his death in 1993 at the age of 59. Lou Ferrigno later said that losing Bixby felt like losing a father. What touched Ferrigno the most was how Bixby cared for others, even when his own life was falling apart. He never shouted, never blamed, and always lifted people up. On the Hulk set, he created a family, and that spirit stayed alive long after he was gone. His legacy wasn't just in the shows he made, but in the kindness, patience, and strength he shared with everyone around him. Lou Ferrigno often says that without Bill Bixby, his acting career might never have taken off. Bixby taught him that being strong isn't just about muscles. It's about heart. Through all the pain, Bixby showed grace and dedication, reminding everyone that true heroes are not only seen on screen, but in the way they live their lives. When Ferrigno talks about him today, it's always with deep respect and love. He remembers how Bixby would quietly guide him, showing him how to move, how to react, how to feel the Hulk instead of just playing him. That mentorship helped Lou become more confident and emotionally expressive. Their friendship symbolized the real heart of the Incredible Hulk. A story about two sides of one soul, one calm and wise, the other strong and wild. When Bixby passed away, Ferrigno felt that a part of the Hulk died too. But their bond continues to inspire fans and actors even today. It reminds us that sometimes the greatest heroes aren't the ones who smash through walls. They're the ones who build others up with patience, love, and quiet strength. After The Incredible Hulk ended in 1982, Lou Ferrigno's life took a difficult turn. The show that had made him famous was gone, and he suddenly found himself without direction. For years, Ferrigno had lived inside that green makeup, spending long days acting without speaking a single line. He'd been the face of rage and sadness for millions of fans. But outside the set, he was just Lou, a young man trying to find himself. Acting offers slowed down, and people still saw him as just the big guy, rather than a real actor. But Ferrigno didn't give up. Inspired by Bill Bixby's lessons about discipline and heart, he turned his frustration into motivation. He went back to bodybuilding and even made a comeback at the Mr. Olympia competition. Though he didn't win, his spirit and dedication earned the respect of fans and competitors alike. Bixby's influence never left him, Lou said in interviews that he could still hear Bill's voice, guiding him whenever he faced challenges. It wasn't about fame anymore. It was about staying true to himself and never giving up. The same lessons the Hulk and David Banner had taught the world. In 1993, when Lou Ferrigno got the call that Bill Bixby had passed away from prostate cancer, he was devastated. For days, he couldn't speak to anyone. He had known Bill was sick, but he always believed his mentor would beat the illness. Bill was strong, Lou said in later interviews, and I thought he would live forever. The two had spoken just a few weeks before Bixby's death. Lou remembered that conversation vividly. Bixby told him, "No matter what happens, remember to be kind, Lou. That's what makes you strong." That message stayed with him forever. Ferrigno couldn't bring himself to attend the funeral because he didn't want to see his friend that way. "I wanted to remember him as the man full of life, laughing on set," he said. In later years, Ferrigno would often break down in tears during interviews when talking about Bixby. Even decades later, the pain was still there. To Lou, Bill wasn't just a co-star, he was a father figure, a role model, and a friend who changed his life. Losing him felt like losing a part of his own heart. Few people knew how much pain Bill Bixby endured during his final years. He kept his illness private because he didn't want anyone to pity him. On the Blossom set, he wore a brave face even as cancer weakened him. His co-stars later said they didn't even realize he was sick because he worked with so much energy and focus. In fact, just 6 days before he passed away, Bixby was still directing an episode. He insisted on finishing it, saying, "The show must go on." That kind of dedication was pure Bixby. He believed in giving his best no matter what. Doctors had told him to rest, but he refused. He didn't want to be remembered as someone who gave up. He wanted to be remembered as someone who showed up. Lou Ferrigno once said that this courage reminded him of the Hulk, strong, quiet, and unstoppable. Even when his body was failing, Bixby's spirit was unbreakable. He left behind not just a legacy of great television, but also a powerful lesson in perseverance and grace. What made the relationship between Lou Ferrigno and Bill Bixby so special was that it went far beyond Hollywood. They were two men who had both faced incredible odds in life. Ferrigno grew up in Brooklyn, bullied because of his hearing loss. He turned that pain into power through bodybuilding. Bixby, on the other hand, had faced emotional storms, losing both his son and ex-wife in tragic circumstances. Yet both men turned their pain into strength. On set, they became each other's support system. Lou once said, "Bill saw me, not just the muscles or the green paint. He saw the person inside." That level of understanding was rare in show business. Bixby respected Lou not just as a performer, but as a human being who had fought hard to earn his place. And Lou admired Bill for his emotional depth and kindness. Their friendship became a quiet example of how two very different people, one a gentle actor, the other a strong athlete, could bring out the best in each other. Even today, their bond continues to inspire fans who grew up watching The Incredible Hulk. When The Incredible Hulk first aired, many thought it would just be another comic book show. But Bill Bixby had a different vision. He wanted to show that behind every monster there's a story, a reason for the pain. That human approach made the show stand out. Instead of flashy fights or silly costumes, The Incredible Hulk focused on emotion, loneliness, and the inner battle between right and wrong. Each episode told a moral story about kindness, self-control, and the price of anger. Viewers connected with David Banner's struggle because it felt real. Everyone has moments when they feel misunderstood or trapped by their emotions, and that's what made the show timeless. Bixby and Ferrigno created a balance between power and sensitivity. The Hulk might have been strong enough to break walls, but David Banner was strong enough to forgive, love, and keep moving forward. That message turned the show into more than just entertainment. It became a mirror for the human condition. Even today, when fans rewatch it, they see more than action. They see heart. Before The Incredible Hulk, superhero shows were mostly bright and cheerful. But after Bixby and Ferrigno, everything changed. They proved that heroes could be serious, emotional, and deeply human. You can see their influence in later characters like Bruce Wayne in The Dark Knight or Tony Stark in Iron Man, heroes who struggle with guilt, identity, and emotion. Even in Marvel's